call the Will County Public Works and Transportation Committee regular meeting to order at 9:04. We don't have enough people for a quorum, but what I'm going to do is at least move some of the meeting along. Nothing that we can take a vote on or that. So we're going to kind of jump around in the agenda till we hopefully get a fourth person. So Sandy, if you could do a roll call, that'd be, oh, I'm sorry, pledge first. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we'll try and go a little smoother from here on out. So, roll call, Sandy.
Balich, Butler, Costa, Logan, Williams, Van Dyne, and Richmond.
Here. All right. So for staff and people in the room, what we're going to do is, Jeff, why don't you just stay here for right now? But what I want to do is jump down to number 9. The Roman numeral number 9. Notice for Wilmington Peatone PEL study, public information meeting. If you could do that, and then we'll jump to your monthly reports. Okay, and then after that, we'll go to Dan, if you have anything from the state's attorney, just so everybody's kind of got a little bit, and then we will adjust from there again. So you are on.
All right, good morning, everyone. We're going through the notice as mentioned for the Wilmington Peatone PEL study, and attached to your agenda is the actual notice. So for that 22-mile corridor, this is our second round of public engagement opportunities. 2 locations, one in Peatone High School, one in City of Wilmington at their City Hall. The dates and times are there, 4 to 7 for both locations. Again, the bullet points just spell out that we're going to review the study process and the schedule to date, present the concept alternatives that we've come up with based on data and comments from the first round, and then discuss those alternatives, the evaluations we went through for that so that the public can be involved in that. And then any further public input at that time will be taken as well. So if anyone's in the neighborhood those 2 dates and want to know what we're looking at along that corridor, join us at those times and locations. And that's it.
Okay, so next, if you want to go through the, like we talked about, the maintenance and that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank
So
you.
the monthly staff reports are there as usual. And as you know, from the last several months, we've been kind of picking one to go through to give you a little more detail. This month, we postponed from last month, going through the phase 2 summary report. So we can go through that now. Eric Wessel, our phase 2 project manager, is here, and he'll kind of just run through that chart with you so that you can get a fuller understanding of what it is, what it's saying. So Eric.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow board members. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Every month I submit a report on all the phase 2 design projects. These are projects that are basically going to fine detail to prepare documents to go out to construction for the our various corridors or intersections or bridges. Also, as part of our report, the Will County DOT does assist the townships with maintenance, inspection and maintenance of their bridge system. So there is also 4 township bridges that we are managing, overseeing the design for those bridges for the township, with giving them the technical expertise that they need. And there's several other duties that also go along the lines with my project management stuff that I don't report on here. Last week, we had our safety action plan meeting. I'm the project manager for that, and I'm also the project manager for the ADA transition plan for the sidewalks and that multi-use pass on the county system. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to give me a call. I am more than willing to sit down either on the phone or if you would like in person to discuss anything. So if anybody has any questions now.
Dean, any questions for Eric right now? No? You got off easy today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Jeff, on
Nothing on the
anything
reports.
else? Anybody had any questions on any of the other reports of that? Nope. All right, let me, you know what, seeing as I'm gonna just turn everybody's mic on and then. And I think with just a small enough group, we can figure this out. How's that? All right? Perfect. Sure, I think you were up first.
Jeff, I just wanted to thank you for the nap drive, even though I saw them out there this morning, so I guess they're finishing up. But it's much smoother. I feel much safer when I'm in that left turn lane now. So it does work out pretty good. And it looks like you may have changed the timing of my light at my subdivision too. So I'm happy about that as well.
2 for 2 today. Very good.
Yeah, sure, just leave it on. We'll just leave it. That's all right. Got it? Elle?
Thank you. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Just a question on the notice for the Wilmington Peatone study. How are those notices distributed and sent out to the community?
Sure. A couple ways. One is mailings to the adjacent property owners. And in a couple instances, there's a subdivision over by like 53. There's a large subdivision, so the whole subdivision was notified because that's their only entrance. So it's roughly adjacent and then to some adjacent property owners along the side streets. So it's the mailers, people who have signed up for the mailing list through the website or even online at the public meeting previously. Those people will also get notified. And then there's the geofencing option where if they're driving through, the phone gets pinged of an active notice. Since this is active, they should get a ping as to that there's a notice coming up. So through their mobile phone, yeah. Yep. And then there's, of course, the elected officials get their notice, and then the municipalities have posted it on whatever social media or website platform that they have. So,
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. So I think, Jeff, you're all done. Dan, did you have anything from the state's attorneys?
I do not.
Nothing? Okay. Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't know if we had to. Okay. So Jeff, what we're gonna do now is move to number 5 under old business. Number 2,
all right.
143rd reconstruction status update, and then we will probably move then to public comment, because I think that's probably about all we can. There might be one more.
There might be one
Okay.
more in there, but. All right, so for 143rd Street, there is not really any significant change to report since I last gave a large memo update back in January. The design, we haven't done anything further with because it's already complete, so there's nothing really done there. Right-of-way acquisition, as stated back at the beginning of the year, that had started. We have acquired 6 parcels, but that's as far as we've gotten. So there's not much more there. There has been comment regarding trees previously that have been cut down along 143rd or trimmed. We have investigated that. None have been cut down or trimmed by county forces. I mean, obviously we had the storm a couple months back, so we were picking things up there, but our staff did notice a week before that comment was made that utility companies are out there doing vegetative management. So they use ComEd and their subcontractors are out there trimming trees around the power lines. We've seen that throughout the county. Apparently 143rd Street was one of their choices within the last month. So that's likely what it was. We actually cannot cut down trees because we're in the prohibition period of the northern long-eared bat. We can't cut down trees between certain dates to maintain their habitat. So it wouldn't be us regardless. Unless there's a case of emergency, then we're allowed to, but that is not the case. So if someone sees trees going along there, it would not be the county. Really, there hasn't been much else along regarding the corridor to report on. Are there any specific questions you might have?
So, Jeff, prior to our meeting today, I did mention something about that pipeline and there was the beep. Can you look into that? to
Yeah,
see-
we can look in to see if BP is in the area. I'm not aware of a permit for them, as I mentioned, but we'll
Yep.
certainly double check to see if there
So-
is.
Yeah, double check and see, make sure that, everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that'd be great.
There were a couple of crossings that they had to do for our project that they've already done the work for, so I would be surprised if it's maintenance related, but if they have something new, we would be aware of it, so I'll check.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. Anything else on that then? All right, so we're gonna try and stay a little bit in order now. Any other old business? There is none. So we can cross that off of our list. Jeff, just stay right there though, because the other item that we can discuss is number 11 under new business. Wilmington Peatone Road traffic at Center Street.
Sure.
If you want to address that, that'd be great.
Last week was unfortunately a busy week for Wilmington Peatone, and not in the best way. There were 2 accidents along that corridor between 45 and Center. One accident, fatality at the intersection of Wilmington Peatone and Center. I can't speak too much on it other than what you may already have read in the paper because it's an ongoing investigation by the sheriff's office, so they couldn't provide too much detail other than what you read in the paper. This is the location exactly now as it is. As you can see, there are stop signs out there, double stop signs actually on both sides. The other picture, if you can go back to that one, we do have a flasher on the primary sign and cross traffic does not stop signs on both signs. Unfortunately, the person was stopped. That's good, but unfortunately they pulled out for whatever reason we don't know. We may never know, and was struck by a truck going westbound because it's not an all-way stop. So we do know, the sheriff does know that they did stop and for whatever reason pulled out. So that is the accident that occurred there. Nothing structurally with the roadway, it's just a choice, unfortunately, it was made to pull out. And then further down the road on Thursday, someone crossed the center line and had a head-on collision. Again, no real details as to why that happened. If there's more details that come available, we can certainly look at that. As mentioned, this will probably come up at that Pell open house I mentioned earlier. People will be commenting on it, so we'll be, taking those into account. We already know of accidents that happen along there, but we did investigate. It's not really a high accident area center. Some people believe it is, but you look at the accident reports, it's not, but it still means we'll be looking at it to see what other improvements we can do for the long term, because we are going to be addressing that entire corridor. So
Thank you, Jeff.
that's really the only report we have for those accidents.
So Jeff, zoom in on that picture with the stop signs a little bit. So, and I'm not a street guy. And, I've heard that there's, contradicting information. There are a lot of traffic accidents or there are a lot of things going on there. Is it possible to put another one of those red lights on those other 2 traffic signs on the other side?
On the left side.
On the left side there?
Yeah, no, anything is possible to add stuff like that. It's just with this particular instance, the person did stop, so that wasn't even an issue.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. We could even increase the size on the primary one. We've considered that. We'll continue to consider it over the next week as we look at, because we're still getting a little more information. But yeah, those are considerations. It's just wouldn't probably have prevented what we saw.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven the more rural roads and yeah, it's easy to not pay attention when you hear that, but it's unfortunate what happened, but
Yes.
if you guys think it's something, your department thinks it's something that would be beneficial or that,
Yeah, no, we're gonna look at it a little further. I mean, previously we just had the one on the right side, the stop sign, and the cross traffic doesn't stop. And a couple years ago, we added the blinker, we added the additional stop sign, and increased the sign size.
yeah,
But
no,
Jeff, may I?
no, absolutely.
Is there a reason why there aren't stop signs on the cross street?
on Wilmington Peatone Road itself, yes, there's the traffic volumes on Center Road, the one you're looking at here, are not high enough to warrant an all-way stop.
I see.
There's warrants you have to meet before you can put an all-way stop in there, and it doesn't warrant it.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or? All right. Well, with Dan here, what we're gonna do is we're going to, let me just figure out where we gotta go to. Go. All right, okay. So Sandy, you got Dan on your list then?
I do.
Okay. All right, so, First item up then would be approval of minutes for the Transportation Committee meeting on September 3rd. Can I get a motion?
Motion Costa.
Oh,
I
yes.
have, there's, in number 3, when we voted, it shows me as not voting, but I did vote.
Okay, we could correct that then. All right, and then have a roll call, Sandy?
Butler,
Yes.
Costa,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Under old business, we still had number 1 to do. What we're gonna do is move that to the second executive session as we're still working through a few items on that. We already covered other old business. And if you're following along on your agenda, Dan, we did have to jump around a little bit, so now we have a quorum so we can go through things that we can actually vote on.
Apologize.
No, it's all right. We worked through it. So next up is going to be new business. Number 1, authorizing an intergovernment agreement between the Village of Homer Glen and Gallagher and Henry and the County of Will for maintenance and energy of traffic signals at the intersection of Bell Road and Founder's Crossing in the County of Will. That's in District 4. Can I get a motion?
Motion Costa.
Second Williams.
Previous?
I wasn't here, I guess previous.
Well, we did do it for the minutes, so I think we're good, right? Sandy? Yep.
Okay.
So we can
previous
do.
roll.
Second Williams.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 2, authorizing an intergovernment agreement between the Village of Homer Glen and the County of Will for maintenance and energy of traffic signals at the intersection of Bell Road and Martingale Lane in County of Will. That's in District 4. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Costa.
Second Williams.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 3, authorizing approval of the establishment of altered speed zone 694 along Garfield Avenue and within the New Lenox Township Road District, County Board District 2. Can I have a motion?
Motion Williams.
Second Costa.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Authorizing approval of professional services agreement for the right-of-way acquisition services appraisal with Sean Quiller and Sean Quiller appraisers for service, several parcels of property for the Gauger Road improvement over the Canadian National Railroad, County Board District 2. Can I have a motion?
Motion Costa.
Second Williams.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 5, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for the right-of-way acquisition services appraisal with Hampton Lenzini and Renwick for several parcels of property for the Gauger Road improvement over the Canadian National Railroad, County District 2. Can I have a motion?
Motion Williams.
Second Costa.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for the right-of-way acquisition services review appraisals with the Chicago Metro Realty Valuation Corporation for several parcels of property for the Gauger Road improvement over the Canadian National Railroad, County Board District 2. Can I have a motion?
Motion Costa.
Second Williams.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for the right-of-way acquisition services negotiations with Swanson and Brown Limited for several parcels of property for the Gauger Road improvement over the Canadian National Railroad, County Board District 2. Can I have a motion?
Motion Costa.
Second Williams.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Authorizing approval of agreement for purchase of wetland banking site credits for $119,700 with Mill Creek WB LLC for the Laraway Road at the US Route 52 intersection, County Section 20-00138-43-CH, County Board District 2 and 6. Can I have a motion?
Motion Costa.
Second Williams.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, authorizing approval of agreement for purchase of wetland banking site credits with Mill Creek WB LLC for the West River Road from Coal City Road North to Illinois Route 53, Section 20-00174-06-PV, County Board District Number 1. Can I have a motion?
Motion Williams,
Second Costa.
Previous roll.
second Williams.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Right, so we already did number 11. Well,
10.
yeah. Okay, we can do number 10. All right, no problem. I moved my finger without even, all right. We were on a roll, folks, so, authorizing approval of supplemental professional services agreement for right-of-way acquisition services negotiation with Hanson Professional Services, Inc. for several parcels of property for the Laraway Road in US Route 52 intersection improvements, County Board District 2 and 6. Can I get a motion?
Motion Williams,
Second Costa.
Previous roll.
Second Costa.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yeah.
Motion carries. All right. Yes, sure.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chairman, but we do need to go back to the approval of the minutes in regard to County Board Member Williams's statement that she did vote. I believe you need to make a motion to amend the minutes to include that you did vote and how you voted.
Okay,
And then that needs to be voted on, and then the minutes need to be voted on as amended. So we need to have 2 votes on those to clean it up.
motion to correct the minute, to amend the minutes, to say that I voted no for the resolution.
Okay, then
You
we,
need a second.
Second.
To clarify which vote it was.
Oh, I'm sorry. It would be vote number 2 on item number 3, the motion to approve the ordinance as amended.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll make a second.
whatever Kim said, right? You're good with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was 2 and then no 3 under that, number 2, so yeah.
Okay. Second, previous, Richmond.
No, can't.
Oh, I can't. All right.
Previous.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we need a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay.
Motion Butler.
Second Williams,
Previous Costa.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay. You learn something new every day, so thank you. Good catch, Terry and Kim. Thank you very much. All right, so now we can move on to other new business. Seeing none. Dan, we already did number, that would be number 9.
Mr.
we did-
Chairman, there is one more item I would just want to note in my section there.
Feel free.
Discussion.
We've got 32 minutes.
Well, it won't take that long at all. I did recently receive an email from IDOT. Everybody is doing studies these days. IDOT is doing their long-range transportation plan as well, so for the entire state. It's called Move 2024. So it's going to address improvements for the next 20, 30 years for them. So they have a public engagement involvement also going on. So there's a website listed here to go to. There's an online meeting they're going to have and a survey for people to fill out. So I will forward this to the county board staff and then the executive's office so that they can distribute accordingly, so that you can get your copy of that and distribute that as you see fit. All right, so let's just send it to Kim or Terry or both, or Tim.
Yeah, both and Sandy, please.
Okay,
So she can attach it to the minutes.
all right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. That was good. Yeah. Hot off the presses, so thanks. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
So I want to make sure we've covered everything then.
State's attorney discussion.
Yeah. Dan, you said you had nothing for us, so,
Okay.
okay. We did those reports. So just, we're
Reports
good.
by committee members, yeah.
All right, any reports by committee members? Seeing none. What we'll do now is jump to public comment. And I do have 7 names on here. What you do is just come up, Terry has the microphone set up for us. So if you want, it's Bernie, then Diane, Michael, Heidi, Vince, and then Angela. So if you want to just come up here, I'm more than happy to take your public comments.
Good morning.
Morning.
Before I start, I wanted to ask this gentleman a question because I didn't quite understand what you're saying about there is some law that prohibits you from cutting trees down. Would you like to expand on that for me, please?
So, yeah, during public comment, what we usually do is just address the committee, and then what we can do is get you the answers.
Okay.
But Jeff, if you're comfortable, just
It's
answer.
important to know. It's important
Yeah.
for all of us who live on 143rd Street to know. My name is Bernie Zerwinski, and I'm a resident of Homer Glen, and I live on the corner of Parker and 143rd. My main concern with this is a matter of safety. It's really easy to drive by our subdivision, our townhomes, and not notice just how close the easement is to our actual homes. And for me and several people along the front of our subdivision, we're very close to where the stakes have been posted by Will County. Our president of the board said, bring out some stakes. I want to know where we're at. We can see them. And now you want an additional 10 feet, which brings your easement within about 10 to 12 feet of my deck. You want to go from a 2-lane highway or possibly 3 to a 5-lane road, much like 159th Street, which will include heavy truck traffic, and they're driving much faster than the cars right now. They could easily have an accident, fall asleep behind a wheel. That 10 or 12-foot wall that you want to build is not going to protect my home. They'll go right through it. And then if you ask anybody in Hinsdale where they put up the forms along 294, they weren't too happy about that. It really didn't make them feel any better, and it looks terrible. So the first thing is safety. Secondly, another question for him is, did you buy the land along Old Oak Golf Course? Because there's a bunch of trees there, and they also protect the public. I play golf there myself, and if I hit an errant shot off the tee, the trees, which are 40 to 50 feet tall, protect any golf ball from hitting a car. It's very seldom one would actually get through, and I've shanked a few. So that's another issue. If you go to our town meeting and look at it online, the first 2 hours of the last 2 meetings were people speaking for 3 minutes and again against this expansion on 143rd Street. Now, we're new. We just moved in. We didn't know all this was coming when we bought the home in November. But I can tell you that the mindset of Homer Glen is really against this project of widening the street, especially when you have 159th Street, which doesn't seem to be totally used. I can tell you by standing on my corner and looking out the back, never once have I seen the light change where all the cars didn't clear through the light. And I'm up 5 o'clock in the morning having a cup of coffee. I can tell you that as a matter of fact, from my observations. And finally, and I don't know how much time I got left, but finally, I want you to take a look at our monthly or quarterly newsletter. This is Homer Glen, and this is the way we see ourselves. We are a garden community. And the beautiful trees in my backyard and all along 143rd Street and all over the Homer Glen make us a peaceful and quiet community, and that's the way we like it. This thing just kind of came out of nowhere. And so, again, I'd like to learn more about the trees. But that's my comment for today. And based on that, we'll continue to discourage the building of 143rd Street to 5 lanes. Thank you very much. Oh, next time you want 10 hours, call me. Okay.
Next up was Diane and then Michael after that.
Yes, hi. My name's Diane Cernak, and I have lived in, it was Lockport Township before Homer Glen since 1960. And not that that probably matters about anything, but I I know you all have your original Homer Glen magazines that were mailed out to everyone. Just a reminder, welcome to Homer Glen. What do you see? Trees, sky, open fields. Okay? That's what the advertisement, and otherwise, everything else in here about Homer Glen is lies, according to what's going to happen to us in Homer Glen. So on the other second one that was mailed out, which isn't funny, it's community nature in harmony. Oh gee, that was on a couple of signs, right? Okay, fine, that's great. Except it says, it explains mission statement, which is a lie now. It says, with its rolling plains, picturesque farms, open spaces, and nature preserves, Homer Glen looks like much it did when it was first settled in 1836. This enduring character has been protected thanks to the efforts of involved citizens who have fought the tide of development to gain their incorporation and with the control over their own destiny. Today, Homer Glen is a refreshing oasis and still remains the uncompromising values upon which it was founded. So that's in this one here, whole bunch of other lies, just like this is going to be a lie. So in my opinion, we're building this road for Orland Park, for Cook County, via through Homer Glen. This is just a run through to get through to them and whatever other streets they want it to go. It has nothing to do with us. Nothing. And so my gosh, in my opinion, the benefits would be a loss of 150-year-old plus trees as they create this monstrosity of concrete. Loss of approximately 100 homes. I know it's more than that. And not counting the loss of property frontage to many people that live. Nobody cares. I know this is going on deaf ears. I'm tired of having to repeat this to everybody, but I will keep doing it. It doesn't seem to matter. We'll see more traffic. Oh, we'll see the walls, okay? The walls, by the roads. My opinion, so for some reason, this push has something to do with some kind of financial gain, because there's no reason, according to these books, that we were told when we joined and became Homer Glen. Lockport Township wouldn't have done this. So on February 15th, 2024, there was a vote. Okay, the meeting, there was over 500 emails. I counted them. 5 of them were no's to the expansion. The rest were yes. The people spoke. We actually won that vote, but on the 15th, there was the expansion. I'm sorry, on the 15th, we won it. We walked away, we won it, thought great. On the 16th, it was approved and signed by the executive, but it was voted for a veto. So somehow the next day, that became a veto. That we won it, and the next day they signed off, and who was her name? I don't even want to waste a minute to spell it out. So that's all I have to say. I don't know what happened that day, the next day, but somehow I feel, my opinion, we need to get some kind of news, YouTube people or something to get on this and dig into this, because I'm so upset every time I come here. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, thank you for. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Michael McGee, 13601 Longview Drive, Homer Glen resident since 1999, and my wife Christine. So we have moved to Homer Glen because it's a gem. a hidden gem, if you want, of this whole Chicagoland area. So both of us are mechanical engineers at Fermi National Laboratory. Our neighbors have been there, lived there for 40 or 50 years and along Longview Drive. So we're concerned that this expansion, there are two elementary schools that are along 143rd. They're impacted by this. And as Bernie stated earlier, there's not much easement. If you look at it, you know, many of the homes, and I overheard that there's 100 homes that are going to be lost, but many of the homes are situated very close to 143rd already. So we have noticed a big influx of traffic along 143rd, and we wonder why 159th is not, you know, why, you know, what is the mechanism from other communities that's tending to send all this traffic down 143rd, and with the perception that there is, you know, there's a need for this, because we don't really see, you know, I've lived there for 25 years. We don't see the need for the expansion, you know, why this traffic is coming through Homer Glen. And, you know, when we moved here, before Homer Glen was a village, it was just, as the previous speaker said, that we were just Lockport Township. So we didn't have really, we kind of knew that Homer Glen was coming in, but we thought that we were just kind of a rural area, unincorporated. So that's kind of changed since Homer Glen came into as a village. However, as the previous speaker said, if you look at the comprehensive plan that was published in 2024, 2025 for Homer Glen, it talks about all these things that, you know, this is a community with gardens, a rural community with trees, et cetera, and they're, you know, in harmony with nature. But that's really not where we're going now. The comprehensive plan for our village was changed in 2019, and no one in the village can tell us why. So that's why residents are concerned. Also, there's a question about this BP easement that impacts my property and Christine's. And so we're wondering, what is the connection? Why are all these changes happening in our community? Because we have kind of decided that there is a big project on the horizon that we're not being told about, because we see all these smaller things taking place that have a bigger picture that we don't quite understand. So that's what we're asking about. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. I'm Heidi Pasella. I'm here for the 143rd Street project in Homer Glen. And I realized Mr. Ronaldson gave an update. So we're all assuming here that the project is moving forward. And so with that assumption, I just think the update wasn't as comprehensive as maybe people thought it would be, you know, a little bit more details. I think people are looking for the most current plans, because, you know, I can sit here and FOIA all this stuff, but what am I going to do with it besides post it on my website? And, you know, people can't always look there. So I'm wondering if you can post the most recent public feedback for this project, the most recent plans, specifically how far out, you know, the footage, where it's going, the drainage, everything. And if it's out there, that's fine. If you could, you know, say where can people find this on your Will County website. And also, you know, people have water and septic tanks. So if this is moving forward, who is relocating their septic and water? Who's paying for that? So if you're going to do all this construction, how is that going to come into play with these people's lives? You know, you're saying there's 110 parcels, but I'm wondering, is that included the Dawnwood The Donwood building on Parker and 143rd actually has 64 homes in it. So are you counting Donwood as one parcel? Also, what about the electric and gas during the construction? How are people going to survive? I mean, if everything's being dug up in phases, I understand that. Also, I was wondering, the BP pipeline, that's an issue in Homer Glen right now. Also, you brought up, Mr. Ronaldson, about the pinging on the phones. Is that something that people have to download onto their phone to get a ping to let them know that there's going to be a project? Or is that linked to like a nationwide type app? I'm not sure if you could explain that a little bit more for everyone, because you mentioned the geofence. Also, if you could somehow create an aerial map to show people how traffic is going to flow during this construction in the subdivisions that are on the outskirts of 143rd Street, because 143rd Street is residential. And if you look, there's hundreds of homes outside of that really can't go anywhere else unless they exit onto 143rd Street. So if you could provide more information about that, I think that'd be helpful. For example, Bernie, who spoke first, mentioned he bought his home and he wasn't even told that there was a project going on. I don't think he would have bought that house if he knew that. So realtors are selling homes and not telling people that this is happening. So that's about all I have to say. And thank you for your time.
So Heidi, a couple things too. And during public comment, what we try and do is just address us. And Heidi, you and I have had a number of conversations, and everybody here, I'm taking notes, and I'm going to get back to you with whatever information I can gain over the course. It probably won't be today, but give me a few days and I'll definitely get back to you. I think, Heidi, you can attest to the fact that I do make every attempt to get a hold of everybody. So thank you for coming out. Vince?
Yeah.
And then Angela. And I don't have a last name for, she may be your wife.
Yeah, you got.
Or
yes.
significant other, whatever, right?
She won't
How many
admit it.
years?
Too many. No, I'm kidding.
That's not a good answer.
Well, that's right. We're on
about me
record.
now.
We're on record. Yeah, sorry. I'm in trouble. No.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll give you a ride home. It's no big
Yeah,
deal.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you again for the 3 minutes. I appreciate it. It's never enough time, but I'll try to get it all out real quick. My name is Vince Perfetto. I live on 143rd Street. I've been there for about 22 years. So I've been kind of following along with all these meetings and stuff. And it seems to me it took a route. Like, I've been to every meeting, you guys, and it's I feel like a broken record, like some of the others had mentioned. We keep doing studies from day one and throwing money at it. And I'm not seeing studies on my property. I've yet to see a study or a packet on my property. And I hear about these acquisitions and stuff. It's 2024. I've yet to get one study on my property on how noise is going to affect me. My bedroom is right on 143rd. So it's going to affect us. We're really close to the highway or the soon to be highway. So my point is, when we go to these meetings and the majority speaks out against it, I always thought the majority ruled. It's just how I grew up, democracy, and every meeting I go to, I hear more studies. And that's fine. I want to see some studies. Since you're taking notes, I want to see studies on my property, 15016 West 143rd Street, and how it's going to affect it. But what kind of studies are being done for all the other independent, not as a whole? Because I keep hearing this number of 6.2 million that was spent over all these years. Who authorized all this money? I want to know who authorized the money to be spent. It seems like you spend money, I'm not blaming any one person, of course, it's a whole, but why do we keep spending money on study after study after study when so much opposition is against this that's not needed? So my question is, we get to the end, we all vote, the board all votes as a majority against the project, just to get vetoed by one person. Something happened 3 days later. I don't know what happened. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. But why did we vote? What if the project was just gonna go through, why did we go to all the meetings? Why did we spend all that money just to veto it? Because 6.2 million was spent, and I don't want to waste the taxpayers' dollars. It's the craziest thing. I can't wrap my head around it. So we spent all this money, have all these meetings. Was it for nothing? I was at the meetings, you guys. Majority is oppose it, right? You guys were all there. You guys have even made comments. We've never, I shouldn't say never, but been 20 plus years to have a crowd show up here, right? Several times. So you guys, I'm seeing the same thing everybody's seeing. I don't get it. One person vetoes everybody, the majority, for reasons of saving money. Well, who authorized all that money to be, that taxpayer dollars to be spent? And studies weren't even done, you guys. I'm still waiting for a packet. I have one concern, if I could put it in before my 3 minutes is up. And I know you don't answer questions, but I ask if you would please answer one. Who is Edward Kalina? Does anybody know who this is? You want to answer, anybody? Does anybody know who Edward Kalina is?
Okay, all right. So.
Okay, so the reason, and I have to tell it because this is more of a concern. So I get a call from my folks that they're getting calls from this Edward Kalina. And now my folks are elderly. He's a veteran. They're in their 80s. Who is this guy? And my mom and dad, they're up there, you guys. They get calls. They don't know. They're nervous, right? They don't know, well, who is this Edward Kalina, you know? So they gave him my number so I could handle it. Well, come to find out, it's whoever this negotiator is. What is going on? What is he negotiating? I asked him, what are you talking about? He says, the packet. I'm like, what packet? What are you guys talking about? I never received the packet. How many years have we been going through this? Why didn't I get a packet? I mean, can you find this out? Why just now?
Just like everybody else, I've been taking some notes.
Yeah, and
I've
please-
got your phone number. And
yeah, write it down because he's calling my folks that don't even live in Homer Glen. Why is he bothering my folks? Find that out for me too, would you?
Okay.
Okay, so since I had Edward on the phone, and I know time's short, but here's another concern. He told me that 143rd Street is not a safe street. Did you guys know that? Can you find that out for me? Does anybody, can just let me know if 143rd Street is not safe? Because if that's the case, I've been there 22 years. Just like the packet I didn't get on a acquisition packet. How come I didn't get mine? How come 6 properties sold? Why didn't I get something? How come no studies were sent to my house about how it's going to negatively affect my property noise-wise? My bedroom and my wife's bedroom's right there. The property value, the noise, the everything. Here, you build it, they will come. Okay? So I know I'm asking a lot of questions. Thank you for asking or answering Edward Kalina. I guess he's your negotiator. But that was a concern when my folks got that call. He's calling around, this and that. Give him I don't know how he doesn't have my number. I've written it down for you guys here. I've given you my email. How could he not get a hold of the homeowner on 143rd Street and get a packet to me? And yet they sold 6 properties, which is really nothing, to be honest, which out of what, over 100? So my point is, I got a hunch. Something's just strange here, and I need to get to the bottom of it for myself and for my family and for my community, because I moved in. I love the country charm. I wanted 2 lanes, and I did ask Mr. Kalina about that safety, because safety is number one, right, you guys? Safety is number one. And it is for him too. He has a passion for safety. He told me. I says, well, if you have a passion for safety, how come we didn't put temporary speed limit signs up to lower the speed limit to
Yep.
give people more opportunity to make a decision while they're driving?
Yep.
Because 45 means
Vince,
55.
Vince, if I could cut you off, I'll be more than happy to
Yeah.
meet with you out in the hallway
Oh,
right
yeah,
after.
for sure. Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah,
very
no,
much.
thank you very much.
I'm trying to be respectful of that 3-minute time limit.
Yeah, no.
you know,
Thank you very much for
I appreciate
everybody's
you
time.
coming
It's
out.
much appreciated. You could tell it's a big deal to us, and if you can't, it is. So thank you very much for everybody's time, and I
No,
appreciate all your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela? So please give him a ride home, okay?
Yeah, I didn't know our marriage was in peril, but there we go.
It's not in peril. I think he's gonna repair it this evening, take you out to dinner or something like that, right, Vince? Okay?
My name is Angela Perfetto, and of course, I still live with him on 43rd. And I also have come to the majority of these meetings. I wrote a letter many, many years ago when you guys put the little tags in my tree, which my trees are now eaten. It's been that long. And I'd like for us to consider like what's changed in this amount of years. How has Homer Glen changed? I think we're beating a dead horse with this street. I think like we need to take a step back and look and see, is this really something that we need? I also am originally moved to Lockport, so I'm a transplant from Stickney, which used to also be a beautiful little town, quiet. And you invite all this traffic. You invited it all to Orland Park. You invited it all through Payless. And do we want to be those communities that are just devoured by Chicago and Will County or Cook County? I mean, is that really what we're looking for? Because that's what's going to happen. There's no way around it. We're not going to be that exception to the rule. It's just going to happen. I mean, is this what we want? We moved in here, community and nature, and don't build, let's keep it rural and let's not plant our trees in a row. And now I'm going to have a big fence in front of my house to keep all the noise out. And if this is a dangerous street for me living on, I've seen a few accidents. I've seen few pretty ugly accidents close to my home, but from what I understand, there's drinking involved. And I applaud the Will County Police Department, but we don't have a police department. Perhaps we just need to patrol our streets a little better with the traffic. For living on 143rd, I'm not seeing all these cars getting pulled over. I don't see a lot of tickets being written. I don't see, but then, we're not real transparent with our information in Homer Glen either. So perhaps that is happening and I just don't seem to see it in all the years I've lived here. But if it's such a problem, I'm not seeing it and I see it all day and all night. I listen to it all day and all night. And if you think that traffic is going to get better with this, I point to LaGrange. Took my daughter homecoming shopping and we avoid Orland Park like the plague. Nobody wants to go down LaGrange. Nobody wants that traffic. And you just want to bring it right through the middle of our community when we have other ways to get to 355. There's plenty of entrances to 355. Why are we doing this for 355? Who are we bringing through and why are we inviting it? I don't understand it. It seems like, God forbid we should leave the house 5 minutes early because we might hit a couple of stop signs or maybe put up a traffic light on 143rd. I mean, why are we going to such drastic measures when there can be small measures that could be made that I think could make it, if safety really is a concern, that maybe that could take care of it. But I just keep coming back to what are we ultimately looking to do here? We're not gonna escape the plights of all these other cute little communities that have just been devoured by the traffic. I mean, you're just asking for more sprawl. And and if you think that it's just our homes that are going to be affected with the property value, I also point to Orland. I mean, are those homes worth what they should be with all that traffic that's going through it? That's my concern. And we are one of those homes with the well and the septic and then I think also about, you got all these trucks and they're exiting off of 355. Keep them towards Archer, keep them towards where the business community over that way, because I think if you're going to ask them to go past these schools, they're not going to be going the speed limit. They're certainly not going to be aware of the school buses that are going to get pulled out and they're just going to get plowed over when they're screaming by at 55 miles an hour because the traffic already moves along. I can't imagine that it's going to go slower. You know, of course, at some point it's going to get congested and get somewhat slower, but I just don't see, if we're really worried about the people in this community and their safety, why we would ask for more traffic to be going past that school. And that school is already very close to the road. How much closer is that going to be to the road? You get one semi truck that's going to get flipped over onto that school and you're going to lose a classroom full of kids. It's going to happen. And especially if you're asking for all of this business traffic to be coming through, all this truck traffic to be coming through, they're not going to be expecting for my kids to be making a left into their driveway and for a school bus to be pulling out across the street. And something terrible is going to happen. And it only has to happen once, and we'll all be sick about it. And we'll all remember this right now. But it will happen with that school there. And that's my concern, because, you know, my kids are grown, they're out of that school, but, you know, I got grandkids coming through, and I see those little guys, you know, they're all lined up waiting to get on their bus next to that street. And pretty soon you're asking for 5 lanes of traffic to go be going past them. And I just don't see how we can feel good about that. And the traffic that's going to be doing U-turns in their parking lot. You know, we're already concerned about school safety, and we're going to be asking cars to be doing U-turns because they pass 355. I just keep it small, keep it quiet.
Thank you, Angela, for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for being respectful of the 3-minute time frame, and we do appreciate hearing your comments. I did write down notes, and I'll be more than happy to meet you outside here just in a few minutes. But so just a couple of clarifications. This was voted down by the board. I can't give you the month. I don't even want to try and quote it, but several months ago. And then several days later, it was vetoed by the county executive. So that is why, you know, one of the things that I've been working on with staff and that is the notification process and these larger projects and that. I don't have all the details yet, but what we're going to try and do is on a every 2-year basis is send out notices to everybody. You know, right now I can't comment, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to become better at notifying folks. I will be more than happy to meet with you right after this. I do have a capital committee meeting right after, but I'll be happy to meet you afterwards. So I think all we can do now is there's no need for an executive session. And did I cover everything? Did we, even though we jumped around some? Okay. So if I could get a motion to adjourn, that'd be great. All right, second. Oh, still have public comment?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought I was going to speak earlier, so.
Oh.
Regarding the center road and sheriff's office, and
Oh, that was, Jeff covered that.
yeah, I wanted to get the sheriff's office perspective.
Sure, why not? Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you, can you do it in 3 minutes? And I don't want to.
I can do it. I can do it in like 30 seconds. So
Okay, yeah, because it wasn't, so folks, it was an agenda item. We did have to jump around a little bit, so.
yeah, my name's Dan Jungles. I'm a deputy chief at the Will County Sheriff's Office. And I reached out to Joe Van Dyne on Friday regarding our accidents that we had there. So I can't give a whole lot of detail because they are pending investigations. But one of my duties is dealing with the media. And after the second accident, I had probably a half dozen members of the media saying to me, what's the Will County Sheriff's Office going to do about that intersection? Because now we have several fatalities within 3 days of one another. So I reached out to our traffic division. They have pulled the stats for the last 5 years for that intersection in that area, that immediate area. And the deputy chief in charge of traffic told me this, or of patrol told me this morning that he has a stack of papers this tall for that area. So there's obviously something going on in that area that we need to address. And I'd like to have our traffic division come here next month, normal meeting, and tell you exactly how many accidents we've had, what's been going on there.
All right, so let's not wait till next month. Let's work with the elected official that represents that area, work with Jeff and staff, and let's get that information pulled together. We don't need to wait for another meeting, do we, Kim?
He gets the information together.
Get the information together and get it, exactly. So let's we don't have to wait for a meeting. Let's work with staff. Do you have Kim's contact
I do.
information? Okay. Then let's just make it happen. So,
All right,
all right.
sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So we had a motion to adjourn. Do we get a second? All right. All in favor? All right. We are adjourned. Can I take a picture of this? Okay. All right. Okay. Perfect.
Yes, the prohibition is it's a statewide state, in Northern Illinois, along your